Ms. Celeste Long.
Celeste Wynn.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Celeste Wynn.
Here.
I'm
Present.
sorry, Miss. I'm trying to change your name. Ms. Lois Long.
Here.
Mr. Bernard Lundy. Mr. Adrian Dance.
Here.
Thank you.
Mayor Perm, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our two new members to the Petersburg School Board, Celeste Wynn and Mr. Hal Miles. This is our first meeting together. Welcome aboard and look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you.
And also congratulations to Mr. Bernard Lundy, who's also back again in the seat. Look forward to the journey as always. So at this time, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll for the City Council?
Councilmember Cuthbert. Councilmember Wilson Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Myers.
Here.
Councilmember Hart. Councilmember Hill. Vice Mayor Smith Lee.
Present.
Mayor Perm.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Perm. Okay, before I turn this piece over, the next part over to Dr. Petrie Martin, I would just like to say once again, good evening to Mayor Perm, Vice Mayor Smith Lee, Vice Chair Mr. Pierce, Council members, school board members, Superintendent Petrie Martin, City Manager Benavides, school staff, community staff, and city staff. Thank you for taking the time out to join us for a very important meeting. The reason for us coming together tonight is to share with you the plans of the superintendent and the plans that she had for the I.B. Pitman Vocational Building. On January the 8th, Dr. Petrie Martin and I attended a Zoom meeting that was requested by Councilman Cuthbert. Mayor Perm reached out to me about the meeting that Councilman Cuthbert had requested, and I agreed to meet also with them. The superintendent and I were both shocked to learn that at the meeting that our superintendent, the superintendent and the school board was asked to consider vacating the Pitman Building because Councilman Cuthbert and Mike Packer was also on the call. He had invited Mike, who introduced himself as the former city attorney. He was one of the former city attorneys, and he's also a member of the foundation board for ARGS. They shared with us that ARGS needed the building to expand their technology program. I informed Councilman Cuthbert that he was somewhat, I felt as though that he was crossing the line as being just one council member who was bringing this information to us. And I felt that it was not right, and that this was something as an elected official that we all as members of city council and school board needed to hear at one time. So I asked Mayor Perm if it was possible if we could have this joint meeting on today, which is June 25th, and Mayor Perm did agree. And so we are here. Councilman Cuthbert even went as far as asking Dr. Petrie Martin if she would even consider moving her new vocational program to the Blanford building, or maybe we could find another building in the city to move the program. I just want to share that it was never the school board's intention or intent to vacate the Pitman building. So we're here this evening in support of our superintendent and the new medical sciences program, which you will hear more about this evening. At this time, I would turn the program, I'm sorry, at this time I would turn the meeting over to Dr. Petrie.
So good evening to everyone, and it is always a pleasure and an honor to share the work of the Petersburg City Public Schools and our vision to expand programming for our students. As we all know, the Pitman Building has been a vocational center, and the origins of that building run very deep here in the city of Petersburg. And because it started as a vocational building, it absolutely has the key components that are needed for us to extend our vocational program, which today is now called Career in Technical Education. So I'm going to go through the presentation of our plans for that building. And then, of course, we will be available to respond to any questions that you might have. I'm going to share my screen at this time. And I also want to share with you all that the presentation I'm sharing with you is something that our school board did receive back in December, because I have been keeping them abreast of the work that we have been doing to expand our health sciences program. But before I get started in the presentation, I would be remiss in my duties if I did not also share that we have some critical staff members on this call with us this evening. We, of course, have our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. John Mayo, who is over all things division operations. We also have with us this evening our Chief Student Advancement Officer, Mrs. Pam Bell. All of career and technical ed does fall under her area of supervision. And then also I need to introduce Mrs. Terry Allsbrooks, who is our Director of College and Career Readiness. And much of what I am presenting this evening is her vision. She came to us from Henrico, where she ran a career and technical education center. And so we brought her on. We were so fortunate to have her join us because from the beginning of my tenure here in Petersburg, we knew that we were going to have a focus on workforce readiness for our young people. So we were very intentional in our hiring practices. So this evening, you're going to hear about something we call in Petersburg Diploma Plus. It is our goal to give 80% of all of our graduating classes a plus with their high school diploma, because having a high school diploma is not enough in America today. And so we need a plus for our students, and I will give more about what that plus means. So to get us started, the vision for Diploma Plus, as I stated, started when I took on the superintendency here in Petersburg, because looking at the data and the economic data for the city of Petersburg, we knew we had to do something different to ensure our students were workforce ready. And our current career and technical ed program, or vocational program, as we once knew it, was certainly okay, but not enough. We were going to have to expand workforce readiness in our school district. So tonight, I will tell you about the current programs we have, because I think it's important for all citizens to know what we currently have. Then I will discuss our Tier 1 process for charting a new path here in Petersburg City Public Schools. Diploma Plus has a clear definition for us in Petersburg City Public Schools. As I said before, it's our goal for at least, we want more, but at least 80% of every graduating cohort from Petersburg High School to have a plus, whether it's an associate's degree, whether it's dual enrollment or college credit, whether it's advanced placement courses, a certificate, a credential, a military endorsement, but we want them to have more than just that high school diploma. Now, if you look at this definition for Diploma Plus here in our school system, there's some critical parts of this definition. One is we're looking for certificates or credentials that give our students a living wage upon graduation. We don't want any of our students to have to work 2 and 3 jobs to get to a living wage. So we are definitely looking for careers, certificates, credentials, and et cetera to get them to that living wage. Also, we're looking for what's called high demand careers. High demand, high wage, those two things together, that is a recipe for success. So that's what we're really looking for here in Petersburg as we add pluses to what our students can get in Petersburg. So where are we currently with our pluses here in Petersburg? So we have 4 distinct areas currently in Petersburg where you can get some type of a certificate or a credential that will take you straight into the world of work upon graduation. The 4 categories that fit under family and consumer sciences include fashion careers, early childhood education, nutrition and wellness, and the culinary arts. And I'm going to go very quickly over these things because we do currently have them in our school system. As you can see here, nutrition and wellness and the culinary arts is something we've had in Petersburg for quite some time. You can see all of the certificates that our students are eligible to receiving as a high school student that would put them in the world of work upon graduation. Now, we know that to get to the high end of the salary range in most of these different clusters, you do need more than a high school education. But these certificates can at least get them into entry-level positions. And then hopefully, if they want to pursue additional education, they can put themselves through school by having these certificates and these credentials. So the first one under Family and Consumer Sciences has to do with the nutrition, wellness, and the culinary arts. The next area under Family and Consumer Sciences is early childhood education. And this is another program we've had here in Petersburg for a very long time. As a matter of fact, this program used to be located in the Pitman Building, and there would be childcare facilities from across the Crater region that would actually recruit our students from this program. We're trying to get back to where that once was. You will see here that there are a lot of different certifications that, again, will put our students into entry-level positions, but it also puts them in a good position to extend their education to possibly become a teacher or additional areas of childcare. The next area that we currently have at the high school under Family and Consumer Sciences is fashion careers. And as a matter of fact, a great treat would be to go to the high school and see some of the great designs that our students are creating. And our students are actually sewing with different textiles and creating clothing. But as you can see here, this is another set of certificates that our students can pursue that will put them into the world of fashion, working in textile or design. And again, they would need additional education to get to the higher end of that salary range, but these certificates can certainly give them entry-level positions. Next, health and medical sciences. So what do we currently have in that area? And then toward the end of the presentation, I will discuss the need for the Pitman Building to expand. Currently, we have what's called CNA certifications, which are certified nurses assistants, so nursing aides. That's one program that we currently have. And we also have the LPN, which is the licensed practical nursing. These are both areas that could certainly put our students into the world of work upon high school graduation, but then also put them for the next line of healthcare positions. For example, becoming a registered nurse. So we currently have that, but we want to extend our medical sciences program. Of course, we have JROTC at the high school. As many of you know, it is a thriving program for many of our students in the military sciences. Our students can take aptitude battery examinations that give them certain levels of certification and credentials as well. But also within JROTC, it gives them a lot of education on governmental work as a whole. That can, again, put them into those entry-level positions upon graduation from high school. And for many of our students, it puts them on that military track as well. In the trades, as many of you know, we currently have this at the high school as well. We have automotive technology currently at the high school. This gives our students a chance to not just do your basic mechanics, the mechanics of the old vocational tech, but also mechanics when it comes to working with technology. So very often technicians are now needed in many of the automotive service programs. So here are all the certificates that they could receive in the automotive services area that, again, would put them into those entry-level positions immediately after high school. And with more education, more training, they can rise very quickly in our organization. Also within our trades and industrial program, I'm sure many of you have heard that we have had the cosmetology and master barbering program at the high school for quite some time. And again, there are examinations that are needed so our students can certify to, again, go straight into the world of work, whether it's working in a hair salon or working in a barbering studio. But it does put the students on track to enter those positions immediately after high school. Additionally, in our trades and industrial education program, we have carpentry. We have several students who are in construction science courses. Here are the certifications that they certainly can take to immediately enter the world of construction. But it also puts them in a position to be roofers, drywall installers, as well as carpenters. So it does open up. It's not the old-fashioned carpentry as we knew it, but it opens it up to other jobs that students can have as well if they're able to work through these certifications and actually start off with a decent salary right out of high school. Also, we have drafting. That's within our trade and industrial program as well. Again, here are all the certifications that students can receive while they're still in high school. And again, this goes beyond just the general drafting that maybe you might think of. For example, many people start off in the area of drafting who head into landscape architecture or being an electrical drafter as well, or a mechanical drafter, or a CAD person, a person who can run a CAD machine for architect firms. So again, it opens it up to not just being a drafter, but being able to do other things within the field of drafting. So now that I've kind of done an overview of what we currently have, I want to move to a discussion of why it's critically important to expand our health and medical programs. So I've already shared with you that we have the LPN and the CNA program currently for our students as well as adult ed. Both of those are currently going on in the school district. But we have started looking at the data within the Crater region as well as the surrounding areas. And what the JobsEQ data tells us, and this is data that looks at high wage, high demand jobs that are needed now. The health and medical programs are the jobs that definitely we are seeing growth in the Crater region as well as the surrounding areas. So as you can tell here, this was pulled from the JobsEQ data that tells us what are the clusters within the health fields that are showing an annual percentage growth each year within our community. Things like ambulatory healthcare. So this is where we know our EMTs are needed more than ever. Social assistance, nursing and residential care, healthcare and social assistance. Then we went a step further because we wanted to see, well, what about the surrounding areas around Crater? And this is what we found, pretty much the same thing. These same areas of health and medical are needed not only within the Crater region, but in the surrounding areas as well. So as a school system, we have to ask ourselves, if these are the jobs that are needed, we know that many of them can be high wage and high demand. What do we do about it in the school system to make sure our students are on the front line for getting into these occupations? So we surveyed our young people. We started surveying our middle school students because as we build it out, our current middle school students will be the students who will be the biggest recipients of these programs. And so as you can see here, these are student numbers that were given to us of interest by program area. So you can see many of our students are very interested in veterinary science. Many of our students are interested in sports medicine. Many of our students are interested in the medical clinical lab side of doing health and medical programs. So our middle schoolers have clearly told us these are areas of interest that we would love to pursue. We also spent some time with our high school students, and of course, many of our high school students have already selected their clusters, but we wanted to get their viewpoint as well on the different areas that they might be interested in as well. You can see the numbers are lower because, as I said, high school students in many cases have already picked their career clusters. So as we build this out, we have to think about the future of Petersburg City Public Schools. And we know that our students coming up to the high school, they have great interest. We know that that is high demand in the Crater region, and hopefully it's high wage. So let's talk about where we're headed with health and medical programs. So we are moving forward with an EMT program in Petersburg City Public Schools. We have had the courses approved by the Virginia Department of Education. And in a minute, you will hear from one of our grant providers who is partnering with us to make this a reality. Also, we want to add to our health and medical programs mental health assisting careers. And there is actually a certification for mental health assistance. And we have looked at the hospitals that are in the area that would be employers for our young people. So within a 20 to 30 mile radius of Petersburg, many of our students could go into the world of work with a mental health assistance certification. And then, of course, we want to continue to do our CNA program, which is our certified nurses aid program, and then continue to do our LPN program. So these would be the programs that would be in effect in September of 2021 in the Pitman Building. Because to expand this coursework and create health and medical programs that are under one umbrella, we would need a site to be able to do that. But look at this, over the next 2 to 3 years, we want to add pharmacy technicians, radiology technicians, and surgical technicians. And it is a perfect time because, as many of you know, Civica, which is a pharmaceutical company, will be coming to the Petersburg area with over 180 jobs. Wouldn't it be wonderful that we are graduating students that understand pharmacy technology and could possibly get entry-level jobs in organizations like that? So again, it's about thinking ahead, thinking about the future, and what we can do for our students. You're probably asking, so how will you pull this off? You absolutely need solid partners to make this happen. So of course, we're looking at Bond Support, which was Southside, to partner with us on this work. And we're very fortunate in having the Claude Moore Scholars Foundation, who will speak shortly. They will help us to solidify a partnership with Bond Support. And then we want to expand the current partnerships we have with John Talbot Community College and Richard Bland Community College and with Virginia State. We have partnerships currently with all three of those, but wouldn't it be wonderful while students are getting their certifications in these different health and medical programs, they're also getting college credit at the same time, which again gives them a head start on that associate's degree or that 4-year degree that gets them up on the wage earning potential. So we want to ensure that those partnerships continue and they're expanded over time. But we have also thought to ourselves, what if local school districts that are near us don't have some of these programs and would like to have their students join us in matriculating in an EMT program, for example? So we are not missing out on the opportunity to have some of the other school divisions right next door to join us if room allows. We certainly want our students to get the first advantage on all of these health sciences programs, but we also are willing to partner with other school divisions who may not have the programs that we currently have. So some of our grant partners, I have mentioned one that is critical to our success. That is the Claude Moore Scholars. But we also have received a small grant from the Cameron Foundation to really, really help us build out all of our pluses for the Diploma Plus program in order to ensure that we have a lot of different opportunities for students to get a plus. This is going to have to be thoughtfully built out. And we also need employers in the Crater region to be ready to hire our students. So all of this has to be planned for and built out. Also, we are currently part of Jobs for Virginia graduates here in the state of Virginia. This is a program that does certainly help students with job and employment skills and job placement if the students make it through the employability series that they have to go through. And then finally, Perkins, as we all know, is the federal funding source for career and technical ed. And so, of course, we always assess our plans of study and use some of those federal funds to build out additional career and tech programs, or as we used to call them, vocational ed programs. So some of our business partnerships, we currently have a Career and Technical Education Advisory Committee, and they meet every single month. Ms. Terry Allsbrooks is the staff person who facilitates that advisory committee, and they are very excited about the direction that we are taking, and they are also very willing to work with our students on mock interviewing. So once the students have gone through the coursework, received their certificates, we want to get them ready for employability. And so they will certainly be working with us on that. We also are building up a Diploma Plus advisory board because we want to bring the career and technical side and the university and community college side under one umbrella to create those pluses in partnership with us. We hope to have a house building foundation. Our carpentry and construction science students need that real world experience of working on a house. And so we see in the future a housing foundation to help us always have houses for our students to renovate so they can get that hands-on experience and hopefully get some additional certifications through John Tyler, like plumbing and electrical and HVAC. Also, we want to partner with the Petersburg Chamber of Commerce. That's the way we get employers in the door to see our students and hire our students when they are ready. So that's a critical partnership. I've already mentioned the Bon Secours Southside Regional Medical Facility partnership as well. And then we also want to reestablish some partnerships for internships that we used to have, but they had gone away, with places like the Golden Living Center and the Petersburg Healthcare Center, where our students who are working on CNA or LPN, different areas of the health and medical field can again get their hands on those real world experiences to really be ready for employability. Also, we have worked with the John Tyler on their Community College Workforce Alliance initiative, where students can receive certificates and credentials in logistics. And again, when they turn 18, go immediately into the world of work. So we're going to continue that partnership and then continue to partner with our colleges and our employers in planning virtual college and career fairs. So again, our students get exposure to university as well as careers. So let me talk a little bit about the Pitman Building and our vision for that building. So I will start at the top with the number one. The number one is currently where the ARGS Governor's School Dance Studio is located. There is an MOU that was signed between ARGS and the school board of Petersburg back in October of 2016 that allowed the use for a fee of that space for a 14-year term. So that area, which is marked number one, would continue to be used by ARGs as their dance studio. But then if you go over to number 2 and number 3, this is the area that we would love to see being used for instruction for EMTs. Now, why is this particular building critical to the success of the EMT program? We are going to bring in an ambulance that is no longer in use, but an ambulance that will be able to give simulations to our students, to be able to see what it's like in the real world to work in an ambulance environment. So where that auto mechanic shop is located, you can easily drive an ambulance into that area and have simulations with our students. We also want to have simulations that look at traffic type accidents in which our students need to prepare for as an EMT. So the auto mechanic shop is perfectly positioned to be able to have vehicles coming in and out to do those types of simulations. If you go to the next area of the building, where we have classrooms down here, which is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, those would truly become classrooms as well as a workforce readiness area. We would like one of the rooms to be a conference space where our employers could leave their paraphernalia and also interview our students as well for pending jobs. Also, I did not mention that in number 2, in the carpentry shop area, we need to have some sim labs, because in any health and medical sciences program, you have to have a lab environment for our pending nurses to be able to know what it feels like to work in a medical lab environment. And remember, we're expanding this over time, so we need that simulated lab space. So one of the questions very often I'm asked is how we're going to hold ourselves accountable to this new way of doing business and a new program, a more expanded program. And we will be collecting data throughout the process to make sure that we are on point with our courses, our certifications, our partnerships. And part of this is also the workforce seal process. So our students who meet a certain criteria for workforce readiness will graduate with a seal on their high school diploma. And that is something that we've been working on as a school division in partnership with other school divisions in the area. And it involves good attendance, it involves students having good interview skills, but it also involves students pursuing dual enrollment and certificates and credentials to get that workforce seal. We will continue to survey our community and our employers and our students to determine what their needs are. We're also going to continue to use the JobsEQ data to help us as well. But data collection and monitoring will be ongoing and critically important for us as we ensure our students have a plus. And once they have that plus, the sky's the limit. If they choose to go to college, they can enter an entry-level job and put themselves through college. Or they can begin that entry-level work and continue to grow in the organization of their choice. But the key here is giving our students options so that when they leave us, they can do the things they want to do and they can feel comfortable in doing it. That is critically important for us. So I pulled this from a previous presentation that I did many years ago. And of course, we don't call them trade schools anymore. We don't call them vocational schools anymore. But the message here is that we need to promote vocational and career and technical education with the same passion that we promote college. And so this new program that we're looking at to expand and having the space to do that will, number one, take the Pitman Building back to its intent. It was intended to be a vocational program to get our kids ready for workforce readiness. It is perfectly positioned based on the size of the space as well as the ability to drive vehicles in and out for our EMT program. It is specifically designed to be a vocational and career and technical ed program. So we are very excited about the opportunity to do something that we know will have great positive impact on our community here in Petersburg, and possibly change the trajectory for many, many of our families here in Petersburg. So I feel like I have said a lot this evening, but before I end, I am going to ask Ms. Lynn Tadlock, who is the Deputy Executive Director of Giving for the Claude Moore Scholars Program, to share a little bit about the journey they have taken with us in Petersburg. I was fortunate to walk into a situation where a benefactor had already invested money in the health sciences in the school district, and they were willing to give us additional money to expand our health sciences program, and that's what we are committed to doing. So Ms. Tadlock, hopefully you can join us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, first, I thought I might talk a little bit about the Claude Moore Foundation, because you probably don't know who this gentleman is over my shoulder, but that's Dr. Claude Moore. He was a radiologist and retired, a very wealthy man, and chose to start an educational foundation in Virginia that focuses on improving teaching and providing resources to educational facilities and systems to try to improve the lives of students in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Since we started in 1991, we have given away over $80 million in support of education. And one of the programs that we highlight and put a lot of our funding towards is our Claude Moore Scholars Program, which is just what you have heard your superintendent describe very, very eloquently this evening. I do want to say that we have had an interest in Petersburg for some time, and it all came about from a talk that I gave with your former superintendent, at which time he was telling me about the situation in Petersburg. And the situation at that time was that you guys did not have the money to keep the lights on. He was making decisions one month to pay the water bill, the next month to pay the light bill. And I said, how do we help you? And at the same time, Dr. Bill Hazel, who was was then the Health and Human Services Secretary for Virginia, contacted us and said he wanted to start a children's cabinet in Petersburg and asked us to fund the fellow to do that. So we did that, and that's kind of where our journey with Petersburg started. I became aware, and my trustees became aware of your educational deficiencies, and we wanted to help. We have been putting together the Claude Moore Scholars Program for the past 12 years, and we are now in 23 municipalities throughout Virginia. What we do is provide funding for equipment. We pay for teachers for the first year. We give you what you need to get these programs established and running. We're willing to do that when we work with communities that are willing to take on the sustainability part of that equation. Because we'll start a program, we know what to do, we've been doing it for a long time. We provide resources to help make you successful. We ask you to continue it. And it is a community collaboration, because what you have heard is already we've brought in business in hospital systems to work so that your students have a direct link to a job with those systems. We've brought in other resources that you probably would not have had. We've done this all over. the state currently. We have a project with George Mason University to not only evaluate our success with this project and monitor healthcare pathways and healthcare careers across the Virginia, we also are creating an LMS system that will be a place where your students will get credentialing online. They will become a part of a society, a professional society. Their credentialings will be kept on that system their entire career. So we're providing with a lifelong service by becoming a Claude Moore Scholar. And we did this because of the deficiency of healthcare providers in Virginia. We just saw what was happening and we wanted to do our part. So we're proud to be here partnering with Petersburg. We first found out that you did not have a working lab. So we've started a little earlier with you than we normally do, because usually we just ask you to provide a space and we come in and help you develop the program. But not having a functioning lab for biology and chemistry extremely limits your students and does not allow them to have the advanced degrees that the superintendent talked about. So we said, okay, I took that back to our trustees and they were gracious enough to say, okay, we're going to step outside of the norm and we're going to let them take that $250,000 and then we're going to help them renovate it, because we know lots of resources because they were short on time. It got done. So now we're ready to go the next step, and we want this EMT pathway and the mental health assisting technicians will be some of the first pathways we've done in the state. So you will have an opportunity here to be a lead in our program with a particular pathway. And I will tell you that program is been shared with the governor's office, and they are extremely excited about it. And we are looking at some possibilities of some assisting funding if necessary. So that's just I've talked a lot. I talk a lot. But I just wanted to give you an overview of Claude Moore. Our philosophy is what I call the three-legged stool philosophy. And that is, it takes the social sector, business, and government all working together. Those are the legs of the stool. And if they're all on par, it doesn't matter what happens on the ground, the stool will stand up. So I'm happy to continue to work with Petersburg, and I thank you for an opportunity to speak with the council this evening.
Dr. Peachy Martin, do you have anyone else?
We certainly might want to have Ms. Alsbrook say a few words. As I said, Ms. Alsbrook is the day-to-day operational lead for this initiative. And I tell you, she brings a great deal of enthusiasm. So we are so excited to have her with us. But Ms. Alsbrook, I would love for you to chime in because you've worked so hard on this vision.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to participate in this awesome conversation. I am indeed excited about this. For me, it is really about how we can better serve our students, how we can better serve our kids, how we can better serve our community. When Dr. Peachy Martin explained to me what her Diploma Plus vision was, I almost jumped out of my seat. Well, I do that a lot anyway, but I almost jumped out of my seat because it is directly in line with what career and technical education is. I am, as Dr. Peachy Martin mentioned, I've been in education for over 20 years, and pretty much all of that has been in some CTE capacity, one or another. My last job was working as a principal for 11 years in a CTE school. It is so important to stay relevant. It is so important to look at what your community needs. It's so important to look at the skill set that your students need. And with Diploma Plus, we're doing all of that. this gives us an opportunity to begin first with the most important work. And as the data says, and we can just see it looking around in the community right now and in the world we're living in, healthcare is definitely a need. And so we want our kids to be on that front line ready to get those jobs. And we want people to start talking about Petersburg like, oh my God, we have to hurry up and get to those Petersburg graduates because they will be picked up and gone. And I know this can happen. I've talked with the kids. They are a wonderful group of babies. I call all the children my babies. They are a wonderful group of babies, and they deserve to have this opportunity. And I also want to say that we're not only working with health and medical, we're looking at, as Dr. Pitman said, our trade and industry. This is tier one. Our next tier will be looking at the data to see what we need as far as health and medical as far as trade and industry courses are concerned. We know that's a dire need. We know it's hard to find a machinist. We understand that. And so we want to make our students ready, because when they leave high school, they can either go to the world of work, they can go to college, or they can do both. So I am very passionate about this. I am excited about opening up that Pitman Building. I have a lot of things going on in this head of mine. I'm just not going to share it all tonight, but I am truly excited and look forward to working with each and every one of you and our students and community.
So Chair Pritchard, I think that's it as far as presenters for Petersburg City Public Schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Petrie Martin. Thank everyone for the presentation. At this time, we'll move to B, discussion between the City Council and School Board. Mayor Perm, I will turn this part over to you to begin discussion, calling upon your council members.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Pritchard, and again, thanks everyone for the presentation. We are excited as well. I went to school in Petersburg when that Pitman Building was definitely the hub of excitement of trades back in the 90s. And it's good to get that back going in Petersburg. And just like you said, the future of Petersburg is going to be in manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. So preparing our kids to get those certifications to get to work is definitely of importance here of the city, and is a priority of this council as well. So again, I thank you. And at this time, I will take questions from members of council. Councilwoman Wilson-Smith.
Secretary of Agriculture.
Sure.
According to Politico, President-elect Joe Biden.
That's not me. I think the basic question, one of the main questions would be, since the school board is an elected body, as well as the city council, does the city council, anyone on the city council, have the authority to dictate to the school board what they should or should not be doing? And before you try to figure out, I think the answer is no. I think we don't have that authority. So it behooves me for one of us as a council member, or two of us as council members, to approach the superintendent and chairperson about giving this building away without any discussion with us. Seems a little unethical on our part, I'm sorry to say. I think that the presentation shows a beautiful and clear vision for this city and for our youth. As two different boards, I think it's very important that we make a decision and understand that our priority as a whole has to be our schools and our children within our schools, because it's going to be impossible to have a city at a certain level if our schools are not top notch. And we've got plans in place, or at least it sounds like the school system has plans in place which are going to elevate the children and the school system. And I guarantee you, once that elevation happens there, it will automatically happen within the city. If we can elevate our children and elevate our educational system, our crime rate would go down. What's going on within our system affects what's going to happen within our city. And we have got to get on the same accord and work with the schools, not against them, support this effort, and understand our place as council members. I'm glad that, and I'm hoping, I may be jumping the gun here. Now, council did agree that we would start having quarterly meetings with the school board. I'm hoping that the school board is in agreement with that, because that's crucial. That would actually stop other meetings from going on. We would come together as a whole, not as some of us sometimes. We'd come together as a whole and discuss how we as council can help promote what you're trying to do on the school level. Such things as the city recognizing your teacher of the year, or the city recognizing the student of the year, the student who's excelled in vocational ed, the student who's done some outstanding work. So I really just think two things. We need to understand our roles. Each board has different roles, and we need to come together to work as a whole for the good of the whole. And that's it, Mayor Pound.
All right, thank you, Councilman Wilson Smith. Next questions from other members of council?
I don't have a Mayor, may I speak?
All right, Vice Mayor Smith Lee.
I don't have a question, but I think this is a great opportunity for the Petersburg Public Schools. I'm excited about what I just heard. And you know myself, I'm all for the kids. You know, I grew up here, and I know what the Pitman Building stood for back there when I graduated back there in 1979. I love this program, and also the partnerships that I see. I am in full support of what the Petersburg Public Schools want to do with the Pitman Building.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor Smith Lee. On Councilman Myers.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can, okay. I want to say that I'm very supportive of this Career Technical Educational Center, and I think that school board member Lundy and I have had several conversations about what a wonderful opportunity that would be if we had an independent school of that nature. I'm a product of technical education. I grew up in construction. And I can tell you alternatively, when they tell me that I don't have an education, I can clearly say that I can put a toilet in for $2.50 where it would cost you $550. So I have to say that it is a very good opportunity for our kids who may not have had as much as most of us have had, but it would give them the skills and to be proud of a trade that they can offer to someone, and they get paid for that particular the work that they do for those individuals. So I think that this is a wonderful opportunity to educate our children on an alternative way and for a livelihood to come. So thank you very much for all that you all are doing for Petersburg.
Thank you. Councilman Cuthbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I thank everybody for gathering tonight. Let me start with my view of public education in Petersburg. I am a strong supporter of the Petersburg Public Schools. But in any discussion, including this one, it's important that we listen to what others are actually saying. It's important that we not draw lines and pick teams and declare someone a villain and someone a bad guy and someone else a good guy. It's important that we not be defensive. it's important that we listen. Now, we seem to be focused on two different things. The school board and Dr. Petrie Martin are focused on vocational programs in general, program in particular. And it sounds to me like it's a great program and certainly is worth implementing. And I'm delighted to hear about it. And I think it definitely fills a void and broadens the educational offerings of the Petersburg public school system. But as I thought I had explained before, I'm focused on something else. And that is the advantages of coordinating planning by the leadership of the Petersburg City Public Schools on the one hand, and the Appomattox Regional Governor's School on the other, to maximize the educational opportunities for all students served by the Petersburg City Public Schools and the Appomattox Regional Governor's School. After all, as several speakers have said, educating our students is absolutely bedrock to helping them create the future that we all want to see for them. So I'm focusing on coordinating plans and planning rather than whether this is a good program or a bad program. It's obvious it's a great program. There's no issue, right? But what concerns me is planning, not just on this occasion, but into the future. And perhaps one of the takeaways from this can be that there will be greater coordinating of planning in the future. I would like to think that. Mr. Pritchett, let me ask you, if I may, a couple of questions. Did you reach out to the ARG's leadership to explore ways to work together to maximize the educational opportunities for all students served by the Petersburg Public Schools and ARGs?
Mr. Cooper, I will answer that. Dr. Petrie Martin communicates with the director there, and Mr. Adrian Dance serves as our board liaison. No, sir, I serve on Maggie Walker School Board. That's where I am. I stay in my lane.
No, I'm not talking about having a board representative.
Sir, my question is no. I just told you Dr. Petrie Martin and Mr. Adrian Dance.
Okay.
So, I can definitely share that I have talked with Dr. Alvin, and I believe he's on the line currently, if I'm not mistaken, because I wanted him to make sure that if his school was being discussed, he would know that and he would be able to chime in. So I have had a conversation with Dr. Alvin about the technology vision that he had for the Pitman Building. At the time, he shared that he was not quite ready to pull the trigger on that vision. And I think many of us know it would probably be more appropriate for Dr. Alvin to speak. I don't want to speak for him. So Dr. Alvin, if you raise your hand, they should be able to unmute you.
Well, I have some other questions that I'd like at the appropriate time to bring forward. And I'm glad conversations have taken place, and I understand that Mr. Adrian Dance does serve on the school board of the ARGs, and that's all good. But the topic was the Pitman Building in particular. And Mr. Pritchett, before the grant application was submitted to the Claude Moore Foundation, Was there any discussion between anyone on the school board side and anyone on the Appomattox Regional Governor's School side about uses for the Pitman Building?
And I will say to you again, I have no clue. Mr. Dance, are you able to answer that? I do not serve on that board.
Good evening, everybody. We have not had any discussions concerning the Pitman Building at any one of our Appomattox Regional Government School Board meetings.
So if my question is, has the school board considered reaching out to ARGS to discuss the Pitman Building use into the future? And the answer is no one has considered doing that. Is that correct?
That's correct, because we have an MOU in place that is for 14 years. So we had no reason to reach out to them. We did not hear anything. We haven't heard anything from the director about expanding the program. So there was no need to reach out. Mr. Dance, anything you want to say?
No, we haven't discussed it, as I stated earlier, but I don't see why the agricultural, the government schools, Appomattox Regional Government School students could not participate in the CTE program that's going to be housed in there. None whatsoever.
Oh, no, I understand that, I'm sure, but I think the ARGS has its own program. Is there any reason why the school board did not consider discussing the use of the Pitman Building before the Petersburg City Public Schools submitted the application to the Claude Moore Foundation? Is there any reason why the school board did not consider doing that?
No, Mr. Cuthbert, Councilman Cuthbert, we didn't have a reason to discuss it with them. They're actually renting from us, and the space that they're renting, we're fine with that. We had no reason to meet with ARGS. If ARGS wanted to meet, I'm pretty sure that the director would have reached out to the superintendent, or he would have made Mr. Dance aware, who serves on the board.
Well, I sense that ARGS was not aware of this application until after the application for the grant had been submitted and after the grant had been awarded. Let me go to another question. Has the school board considered whether locating the Diploma First initiative in the Pitman Building would limit the opportunity of ARGS to grow in the future? Has that been considered?
Mr. Cuthbert, I'm kind of lost. I don't understand why we're discussing ARGS. We're here to talk about the Pitman Building and the program for Petersburg City Public Schools.
Well, I think we're trying to learn.
We have 70 students at ARGS, and we're looking to put 300 students, Petersburg students, in the Pitman Building. I'm kind of confused. Why is there such a oomph for ARGS? And I don't have anything against ARGS. My daughter graduated from ARGS. I have supported ARGS. I've given money to ARGS, and I'm very confused as to why we're talking about ARGS.
There's no reason for confusion.
Yes, it is, sir.
There's no reason for confusion because our joint focus is maximizing the educational opportunities for all students served by both the Petersburg City Public Schools on the one hand and ARGS on the other. And I don't see how we can, do you think in order to maximize those opportunities for both systems, it would be beneficial, it would be helpful to coordinate planning between your two organizations? Do you think that would be helpful?
Mr. Cuthbert, I would like to say this. That's probably a discussion you would need to have with Chesterfield. I don't know whether you're aware or not. Petersburg used to be the physical agent for the governor's school, but that was taken away from Petersburg City Public Schools and given to Chesterfield. So that's probably a discussion you would need to have with Chesterfield County.
No, it's your
organization anymore.
It's your organization that has taken the initiative with respect to the Pitman Building. So back to my question, has the school board consider.
Mayor Perm, can we please move on?
All right.
Mr. Pritchard, may I just add one thing, please?
Yes, Mr. Dan.
The Appomattox Regional Government School reached out to us to rent the dance studio, to construct it and build it. If they are interested in joining our CTE program, then they should be the one reaching out to us, not us reaching out to them, because the Pitman Building belongs to the Petersburg City School Board and the City of Petersburg Schools.
Well, we're all in this ocean together, trying to maximize educational opportunities for all of the students in the city of Petersburg. And I think we've got to take that broad view and try to work together to maximize those opportunities. And I would encourage discussions about maximizing those opportunities in the future. I think it advances everything that we've said is important. I think Ms. Allbrooks said it one way, how we can better serve our community. That's what we're trying to do.
All right, Councilman Cuthbert, can you bring your comments to a close? We'd like to move on to the next phase of the meeting. We have people waiting. We have a list of people who sign up with questions.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let me, 2 points then in closing, my thoughts. One, I'm delighted that this vocational program is coming to Petersburg. I think there'll be a number of students that will benefit from it. The other thing, though, concerns the Pitman Building. It is the obvious, very obvious growth path for the Appomattox Regional Governor's School. And when it comes to something that is so obvious, I would encourage the leadership of the Petersburg City Public Schools to work with ARG's leadership to try to maximize, again, what Ms. Allbrooks and Ms. Tresca Wilson-Smith referred to as the importance of educating all of our children in our community. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Smith-Lee.
Why do I feel as though that the Petersburg Public School is on trial tonight? This is obscene. We always talk about what we want to do to try to better the kids' education in the city of Petersburg. This is a plus for us. We're talking about our kids, Petersburg Public Schools. Why are we having a debate on something that is just a good thing for us to build on?
Councilwoman Wilson-Smith.
Thank you so much. We've all had our say so, and I think that's wonderful, but the bottom line still remains the same. The council, Petersburg City Council, cannot dictate to the Petersburg public school system what they should be doing or should not be doing. The school, Pitman School, like the rest of the schools, belong to the school system. And if the school system has entered into agreement, which they have indicated they have with ARGs, they're doing their part and they're working on their agreement. If they want to turn the school into a hospital, if they want to, it is theirs. It belongs to the school system. It does not belong to council, and council has nothing to do with it. So in actuality, we're meeting, we're hearing everybody's wonderful ideas, and I support this school system 100%. I graduated from this school system way a long time ago. So, and my children and grandchildren, and had 2 great grandkids in this system. This system is top notch, but we have to stop pulling each other down. We have nothing to do with this. Our council has nothing to do with what Chairman Pritchett, the superintendent, vice chair, and the remainder of the school system has decided to do with the Pitman Building. Period. It's just period. That's it. They made a decision. They're moving forward. Just doesn't seem like we need to even have any more dialogue about it. We have nothing to do with it. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wilson-Smith. Next, Chairman Pritchett, we'll give the floor back to you.
Okay, did Councilman Myers have something to say? I think he had his hands up.
Yeah, I want to say that if you all remember, ARDS only allowed 5 to 6 students in their school when they first opened here. And that has extremely grown to, I think, Dr. Petrie Martin, when you and I talked, I think you have about 70 or so kids in there now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, indeed. So I would think that the Petersburg Public Schools have proven that they have partnered with ARDS and have created an avenue for more of our children here in Petersburg to go through their process, to have their education done at ARDS. And so I just can't conceive of why we are even having this conversation or debating this issue at all. And so I'm going to leave it at that, but I am going to say that I've also talked with Dr. Alvin, and I know that there have always been a partnership here. I am the Ward 5 representative, so I do talk with Superintendent Petrie Martin. I talked to Chairman Pritchett, and I have to say that in Dr. Alvin, that there have been a wonderful relationship between the two and ongoing, and have been. So I cannot conceive of why there are questions here with respect to someone not reaching out to anyone, when I think that basically that it should be ARDS who has entered into a contract with the school system, and not the other way around. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Myers. At this time, I'll move to the school board members. Let me see a show of hands. Mr. Lundy?
Mr. Chair.
You're on mute, Mr. Lundy. Mr. Pierce, I don't even see you.
I'm here. I'm right here.
Okay.
Mr. Lundy had to go first.
Good evening, council members and school board members. The Pitman Building, Mayor, I heard you go into the 70s, but 80s, but we go back a little bit more than that. And the Pitman Building did so much for the community. But as we started into this conversation, the first meeting we had, we should have stopped the first meeting. Well, we did stop the first meeting because Mr. Packer came before anybody came. And we weren't trying to be out of line. In fact, the buildings that we've had and the superintendents that we've had, Dr. Petrie Martin has been the first one that's shared she wanted to do something with the building. The dance studio, which was a success and completed in a very timely manner. And what the offer to the Petersburg school system was, we'll let 6 children come and take a part in it. And that was an insult to us. Mm-hmm. The program that Dr. Petrie Martin is would like to take on, the school system, school board, all of us would like to take on. Some of the programs that Dr. Petrie Martin has been talking about, I would like to see them enhanced. We have an advantage. Mr. Pritchett is on the John Tyler board. And when I say we have an advance, because I say that Mr. Pritchett, the CNA, is that correct? The CNA program is good, but it needs a tie-in. And the tie-in needs, because our kids stop there. You talk to them 10 years from now and they say they're still in that same position. That tie-in can be the workforce at John Tyler, where we can connect with that, Mr. Pritchard. That's just an idea. And we can enhance that so that they can further their studies that they want to have. So it's not a stop and go place. I think we look at the adjacent building and look at it as Petersburg doesn't want to do anything with it, but we do. And if it would be better to take 70 kids out of there than to have them there, and with budget, the way it faces us sometimes, then maybe that's what a person thinks that we should do. But our kids were given, when they did the dance studio, the luxury of saying we'll bring 6 of you all over and allow you all. And that was a great insult. I always tell Mr. Pritchard about that insult. So I say that to Dr. Petrie Martin, I thank you for having the opportunity to want to try, because we've had other superintendents who didn't even think about trying about Virginia Avenue or any other buildings. And so at least you want to try, at least you know that it's an entry level. And we hope, we're not pointing any fingers at anyone because we're all citizens of this city. But we hope that we create an infrastructure that allows us to place more finances in the cities so that we can do more things that we would like to do. And that takes all of us to do it and all new ideas to do it. And I hope that we stay on that direction. Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. Thank you, school board, and thank you, council members.
Thank you, Mr. Lundy. Mr. Pierce?
I'd say good evening to everybody once again. First of all, I'd like to say that how wonderful it is to hear all of the passion that's in the room tonight for the discussion regarding our children. I think it's easy to say that there are 3 things that all of us want from our kids, hopefully and prayerfully when they conclude high school and beyond, would be to go to college, military, or the world of work. Some of the information and some of the numbers, as we paid attention to it, and for some of the council members who may not be aware of it, the statistics that we found, even out of our own research, that we have the wider majority of our children who love to use their skill and ability in the world of work. I think you heard in Dr. Petrie Martin's presentation that, we have things at Richard Bland College. Kids are graduating with a high school diploma and their associate's degree, and they're moving to other areas through John Tyler and beyond. But the wider majority of the statistics have proven that our children love the world of CTE. So now we have a huge advantage here, a huge advantage. And we're begging that we have the full support of our entire city of this one area where we can collectively put these children, allow these children to go to work. It's simple, it's nothing, there's no rocket science behind it. And have we had that discussion? I think in bits and pieces, we have had that discussion with ARC. And welcome them to join us in this project, because it's not about just you or I, whomever. It's about the entire community. Everybody wins when our children have a place to go and use their talents and their skills and those abilities. And when they get a diploma or an associate's degree or certificate that gets them started in an area that they love, because that's what we found out. I think one of our presentations where Ms. Pam Bell indicated, they talk to the kids. And if you take the time to talk to our children, they will tell you what they want. They'll tell you what they want. That's what guided us in these directions. These kids know what they want, whether it be sports or whether it be nursing, they will tell you what they want. So by the statistics and using the numbers and using our own data, we found a way to reach out to them. And that was using the Pitman Building again to direct these children with these programs. So we'd only asked the full support, not only, well, we know the board, but council and the community. Because if you look and you ask the community, they're as excited about it as we are. So I'm not going to belabor it. Children will tell you what they want if you ask them, guaranteed. And they love the idea because they're excited about it. And as soon as we can get it started, you'll find that it'll fill up quick. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Petrie Martin, and Mayor Parham, I know I am the new kid on the block, one of the new kids on the block, but as a former CTE teacher and working now in the on campus at Virginia State University in the College of Education under the Health and Physical Education Department, this is a wonderful, wonderful program. I have been hands-on with children, like I said, in the CTE department, and knowing exactly what futures they can have. It's certifications they can have, even entrepreneurships they can have with the backgrounds that they're going to achieve in this program. And I am very plus behind it, pro-student behind this program, and it's going to help. Not only that, with them acquiring these skills, these are skills that they can apply back to the community here in Petersburg. I think it was the house building program. We have a lot of blighted homes in the city that they can use for projects even. So it's a plus. It really is a plus.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lundy, let me see wants to speak. Mr. Myers.
I'm sorry, Mr. Myers.
Yes. First of all, I would like for all of us to congratulate Joe Evans Hairston Bernard for being appointed by President Joe Biden to Deputy Secretary of Agriculture for the Department of USDA. She's a 1985 grad, grew up on West Clare Drive over there by you, Mr. London. I know you know who I'm talking about. But I listened to the discussion and as a school board, we had talked about this already. We had met and we're in 100% support of the superintendent program. My only concern is with the discussion that was taking place. No one said we had a contract with anyone for the use of that building. And if we did, we would honor that contract to the end of that term period. And then other than that, that's it. So we need to move forward because we do have plans for the continued developing what and supporting what the superintendent have in mind and full speed ahead.
Yeah. Ms. Long.
Okay, I'm speaking as a member of the CTE committee and a product of the Pitman Building. Over there, I took electronics, and while I was taking electronics, I learned how to lay bricks, I learned how to change my oil, I learned carpentry, just being in that small vicinity because we all talked and communicated, and the teachers taught all of us as one, you know, and with that program, we can become the model for other surrounding counties. If they don't want to imitate us, they can participate. Just like Dr. Martin said, Dr. Petrie Martin said. And I realized that I never got to go to college, but I was successful without debt, taking trades. And after I did that, I paid my way, cosmetology school, technical. So I realized how important it is. And like I said, even if you can't get a job in it, how much money I save. Howard alluded to it before, how much money I save being able to lay my own ceramic tile, being able to lay my own bricks where I don't have to pay somebody else. So with all that, I support what Dr. Petrie Martin is doing. And I feel like that even whatever direction we go, it won't negatively affect the governor's school. So I just want to let her know I appreciate the way she's going and things we talked about, me representing on the school board, we going in the right direction. And I totally support you. Thank y'all.
Mr. Lundy, if this is it, Mr. Lundy will be our last one. And I just need to let all of you know that we do have to allow the community an opportunity to speak because of the governor's order. So after Mr. Lundy, if there's no one else, we will move next to the community.
The only thing I wanted to say that there was a poor boy on Miller Street in Blanford. There were so many other kids that he had to fend for himself. And so he went to the military. And when he went to the military, he got into industrial arts. And after he got into industrial arts there, he met a wonderful lady from Blanford. And that wonderful lady steered him into education. But that wonderful man and that wonderful lady did so much together, and he built this structure that I'm in right now. And he went on to be with that lady because he said she was so good to him and how she carried him. And then I know another family with 10 boys that had the same type of situation, and they built homes. The Myers boys, they built homes, they helped their father. They did many things. And then I also know that in that Pitman building, there are at least 4 companies, heating and air conditioning, young men that came from the Pitman building that went to Colonial Heights and established businesses that are still very active in their communities and in the city of Petersburg that they serve. Now, Dr. Petrie Martin has a plan. Because she has a plan, we're going to hold her to high standards with that plan. And when we say we want to bring other people in, we sometimes need to be honest with ourselves and realize some of these divisions are far ahead of us. And we have to put ourselves in positions that we can join them. We have school systems that are in automotive, industrial areas, and these students have gone directly to jobs and entrepreneurship. We should be teaching our kids entrepreneurship. And anybody who has one of anything can't make it. You need to be very diverse in this world. And our students are doing great virtually. Right now, what we need to do is make sure we're putting people in front of them that can help them do their best. And what I'm hearing is what we've been talking about all day today with VSBA is inequity and inequality.
to run the school system. It's not our job to run the school system. We can come up with suggestions and we can work together, but that's not our role. And I just want to say that publicly for the record, that, you know, it just like your role, you know, you run the school side, we run the city side, then we come and meeting together, and we all should be doing what's best for the city and the citizens, but more importantly, for the children that are coming through the public school system. So other than that, I don't know where I am in this conversation, but those are my thoughts right there. But if I can help in any type of way, and we can help in any type of way, I think that's the reason why we're having these meetings, and we'll be having, I guess, a series of them, what have you, or as many as needed. Thank you, Chairman and Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna do 3 minutes on.
Okay. Okay, next we're going to move to our community. If you want to speak, ask that you would raise your hands. Each individual is limited to 3 minutes. I see there's a Terrell Turner. Ask that you would give your name also and your address or the ward you live in. Terrell Turner.
Please unmute.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. My name's Terrell Turner. I live on Northampton Road, Petersburg, Virginia. As far as the trade schools are concerned, it's something that I've pushed for. I've spoken to a few different councilmen about it. It's something that we were trying to also do ourselves. So where I am a contractor. I own Cardinal Property Group. We are real estate investors. We buy and flip our own real estate. And what I've learned, especially through this pandemic, is the trades, whether it was hair cutting, grass cutting, framing, heating and air, electric and plumbing, those were the people, no matter what our situation was as a nation, a state, or a city, were always still needed. And we don't have that here to teach the people that don't have the means of going into another county to learn that. We don't have the means of sending them to, say, John Tyler or Richard Bland. Like, even though Richard Bland's local, we can't get them there because we don't have a system in place to further our children's education. I own another landscape company as well. And then a lot of times we're out here in the city, and landscaping is not as complex of a trade as some of the other ones, but it is something that's needed every year, no matter what we go through. But to be successful with the landscape company, despite what some people think, you actually have to know how to cut grass. As far as weed eating, edging bushes, planting flower beds and things of that nature. But the simple things that people can do more than just survive off of, we're not teaching them. And a lot of their family also doesn't know how to teach them to do those things, even on just the labor side. Now, when it comes to the entrepreneurial side, as far as the trade school is concerned, with some of the more advanced students, I would like to see a program that taught them how to do contracts, taught them how to get a contractor's license, taught them how to go out there and actually do the things that a lot of people do as a side hustle, to do it the legit way, because they're already doing what they need to do to be successful. I didn't go to college. I picked up trades. I became a Class A contractor. I flipped a lot. And then a lot of times I was getting paid in 2008, 2009, 2010. I was getting paid from different colleges to talk to their engineering and business and the other students as far as how to do what I do, yet I never went to college, all because I learned trades. And I can't complain about my life. So I do push strongly for trade schools in Petersburg. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I appreciate it. Next, we'll have Stephanie Harvell.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Harville. I reside at 1616 North Valley Drive, Petersburg. I am the retired gifted coordinator for the city, which meant I coordinated all the gifted services for the school students, K through 12, Appomattox Regional, Maggie Walker, and Richard Blaine. One of the things that hurt my heart as a teacher was when we stopped promoting the trades. As the councilman said earlier, I graduated in 1980. I came through at a time when we had several different diploma programs. What hurt my heart was when we went to the diploma program, 23 credits and 25 credits. Everybody didn't want to go to college. When we came along, it was a diploma program for everybody. And that vocational program, they made more money than a brand new teacher. Sometimes, most of the times, they made more money than a teacher with a master's. So we need those programs. And yes, like the gentleman said, we need a program to teach those children how to navigate their system legally. And also, when the governor's school first talked about putting the dance studio over there, it was temporary until the studio was finished that was over top of the Perry Street Loft. What happened to that idea? I understand we want to have them to go to the dance, want to have the dance studio over there. But if you're talking about opening it up or opening our programs up to everybody else, just like we have to pay to go to Appomattox, are they going to pay to come to our programs that we're going to offer? Something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harville.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we move to Ms. Whitfield. I think it's Andretta.
Okay, good evening. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say good evening, and I just have 2 points. One, I do think that the tech program is absolutely amazing. I graduated 2005, and I did not participate in any of those things. I really didn't know about it when I first came. But I'm very excited, and I appreciate all of the support and all of the outpouring of love towards the students. I do have 2 children, one of which is in regular education, and another one is in special education. And I'm also a member of the SEAC committee. One of my questions is there anything in place for any of our special education students for them to further their educations and to get out into the world of trade? For my son, he is somewhat nonverbal, but is very smart and intellectual. And it sounds like that trade school would help special education students to have careers, to be able to go out and be productive citizens. And as the program seems to be more catered to general education, it would be something very nice to see in the future that if, I do plan on staying here, that if my son is still in special education or needs some help in that area, that there are some things where he can get help just like regular students. And my other bit would be, has anyone thought about agriculture as far as farming, gardening, things of that nature? My family and I are starting an urban farm here in Petersburg. And we will be more than happy to work with any of the schools to, get that going. Just some plain gardening. Those things are something that everybody has to eat. Everybody wants food. I think that would be something that would be a tremendous attribute to the program and just the school system in general. And by the way, I live on South Street in Petersburg, Virginia, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Marcus Squire.
Hello, Marcus Omar Squires, 1701 Monticello Street. I believe that this program will be an excellent opportunity to build community wealth here in Petersburg by giving our scholars a foot up in the world. We have to think about the possibilities that could come into fruition with a vocational school or a tech school here in Petersburg. We could grow our economy. We could possibly even have a regional vocational or tech school here in Petersburg. We have to think of the possibilities. We cannot be like Councilman Cuthbert and try to stop progress here in Petersburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Squires. Next, we have Mr. Patrick Ingram.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Patrick Ingram, 836 South Guildfield Drive. Chairman Pritchett, members of school board, and city council members. It's a pleasure. It does feel like this whole entire conversation could have been an email regarding scope, but it has been refreshing. It's been refreshing to listen to the commitment and excitement for education. I hope that we can see more focus and opportunities for career and technical programs, but also on the additional investments needed for our children, who are our future. To include necessary investments on or within capital improvement projects to modernize our schools. So I hope this is the start of many more joint conversations to provide more for our children, especially as we work to enhance our workforce and to prepare it for the incoming growth we are anticipating. Equity. Equity is the word of the year. It's the word of 2021. If we see academic opportunities, we must not decrease those that are technical. Guess what? This pandemic has shown that even degrees are vulnerable to a stalled economy. We must have additional offerings. And I'll say it just like this. We have bright individuals who are able to compute what you would think a computer can compute. They're mathematicians, but yet they can't change a tire. You have individuals who work in big business, work at hedge funds, Fortune 500 companies, but they're unable to even use their hands to create beautiful structures or landscape a lawn. At the end of the day, we must provide equity. If we can provide options for those on the higher end of the socioeconomic spectrum, we must provide opportunity for those who don't want to go to college. At the end of the day, it is a reality. College is not for everyone, but even the reality is it is expensive. It is overwhelming, and not everybody wants to go into the military as well. So we must, again, provide these opportunities because guess what? EMTs, LPNs, RNs, our CNAs, individuals who work in construction are just as valuable and just as worth our time and investment than a four-year traditional institution. Thank you.
Mr. Pritchett, you're muted.
I'm sorry, and I'm sitting here waiting. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Norma Williams.
Good evening. Yes, I want my 3 minutes. Good evening, everyone. I am so excited by what I've heard this evening. I want to recognize everyone from the mayor to the school board to the superintendent, and more importantly, to all of you that are participating and listening in this evening. It is a wonderful thing to see so many people excited about the presentation that Dr. Petrie Martin presented on the goal and the way ahead for our students. I think it's been a long time coming. I often say I have more road behind me than behind me than ahead. So it is the future of our kids, which is why I'm back in the Petersburg area. And yes, I'm with Array Business and Technology. I am a product of Petersburg High School, and my classmate, Miss Stephanie Harvell, it was so good to hear you speak earlier as well. Again, as I said, I'm humbled by everyone's energy and drive to invest in the city with the most important asset, our kids. What I particularly like about what Dr. Petrie Martin did was to take from middle school the importance of starting with that middle school age and starting what I see as a career path for the kids. There were a lot of stats shown tonight. A lot of research has gone into what was presented. We can't ask for anything more than that. I mean, it was very well laid out. It shows the true professional that we have. And that is a good investment in this superintendent, one well-deserved and well worth of that position. That career path, of course, will give the students, I don't like to say kids, will give the students the energy and that motivation to attend school because they are going to have something. The investing and building homes, building up their community. It's just awesome. I would make one suggestion, if anyone knows me, they know I'm going to make a suggestion or a recommendation only, is I'd like to see also the foreign languages or studying abroad, even if they can't study abroad. Host nation to, we do virtual now, where we can perhaps reach out to our Department of Defense schools and have our kids to communicate with students all over the world. That's probably the only thing that we're missing. And again, I want to thank you all. It is such a wonderful way to spend the evening today with all of you and the primary mission that we have and supporting our superintendent. Thank you. And to all of her staff that's working with her. Thank you all, Ms. Alsbrook, all of you, Ms. Bell, thank you. Good day.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Next, we have Dr. Alvin, the Director of ARGS.
Hi, good evening, Petersburg City Council, Petersburg Public School Board, and Dr. Petrie Martin. On behalf of the Appomattox Regional Governors School and for myself, I would truly like to congratulate Dr. Petrie Martin on her presentation tonight. I think that it is an incredible opportunity for the young people and for the community of Petersburg to develop a program like this. It was very well put together, and I truly believe that it hits at the heart of what Petersburg does need. Whatever support we can give to Petersburg Public Schools in this, it is simply something that more communities need to be looking at. I will say that over time, the Appomattox Regional Governors School is very proud of our relationship and our partnership with the city of Petersburg and with Petersburg Public Schools. We have developed goals together. We every day we educate Petersburg Public School students, and we are very proud to return them to Petersburg to be effective citizens within the community of Petersburg. Insofar as the conversation of the Pitman Building goes, truthfully, we have had quiet dreams about that building, predominantly because of two things. One, our need to grow, but also the proximity of that building to where our school is currently housed. We have had these dreams, but we have no ability nor direct inclination at this moment to pursue anything in that direction. We simply choose to stand back and to encourage the Petersburg Public Schools to develop these programs in the Pitman Building for the use of Petersburg City School students, as well as those in the surrounding community. We aim to be good neighbors, and we truly hope that this will be a successful program for Petersburg Public Schools and the community of Petersburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alban. At this, the next speaker will be Ms. Jonna Vasquez.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Pritchard, which address do you need, physical or mailing?
It doesn't matter. You can give either one.
P.O. Box 521, Petersburg, Virginia, 23804. Good evening, everyone. I am Jonna Vasquez, and I am a teacher in Petersburg City Public Schools. But more importantly, tonight, I am speaking as a proud citizen and product of Petersburg City Public Schools. I want to applaud the superintendent and the school board on the plan that I've seen tonight. I'm very excited that our young people will have the opportunity to pursue so many choices afforded to them that will take them straight to a career in the world of work, and that they will get those authentic real world connections through this plan. Although I had the opportunity from Petersburg City Public Schools to go right to college, I graduated. My first two degrees are from Virginia Tech. And although I had that opportunity, not everyone is interested in going to college. I'll use my son for an example, who's also a product of Petersburg City Public Schools. He graduated high school from Maggie Walker Governor School, and he wasn't interested, even though he had that great education afforded to him by Petersburg schools. He wasn't that interested in college at all, believe it or not. And he now is a tier 3 leader at Amazon right here in Dinwiddie. So I say that to say that the plan that I see tonight will give our students the opportunity to choose. Some of them may even still go through that program and work that plan and go to college, but the plan that I saw tonight will afford them the opportunity to bypass all of that and go right into the world of work. And if you look at what the kids now are experiencing, they kind of want it to be a little more instant. And because I am in a technology field, which is non-traditional for a woman, field that I am now, there are so many jobs out there where they're unfilled. And for what I see, the plan that I see tonight, that would help to fill some of those positions that are out there that are available to students right now. The day they graduate from college, they can go right into and make even more money or twice as much as what I'm making as a teacher in Petersburg. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm very excited about what I've seen tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Our next speaker, Ms. Barb Rudolph.
Thank you, Chairman Pritchett. This is Barb Rudolph, 1675 Mount Vernon Street. Many, many years ago, in the mid to late 90s, I was on Petersburg School Board as a member. I think that probably Mr. Lundy may remember me, but go back a long way. But from that perspective, I want to say that school board, I'm proud of you, both what you talked about tonight, but also you did a great job with picking our superintendent. Dr. Petrie Martin's presentation was outstanding. When I served with the school board in the past, Pitman was still a viable, a lively entity in helping our youth, and it's good to see it coming back. And also, I'm just going to say, school board, thank you for keeping this meeting on track and continuing on the topic that it's about, which is Pittsburgh schools, without a lot of extraneous concern about other things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rudolph. We appreciate it. It looked like our last speaker, I think Terrell Turner is back.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just really want to put emphasis on, I really like what Petersburg school system is trying to do with the trade school. What I didn't say earlier was over the last 18 years, off of just the understanding of trades, I've been an employer of thousands of people. Cardinal Property Group. So you can look that up, cardinalpropertygroupva.com. It's a legit business. Plenty. And a lot of people that I employ are college students. They get a degree, they send in their resume, and they work for me. So a lot of what people think as far as to be successful, you have to go to college. And that was something that I was taught, like when I was young, that I needed to do well in school, which they all should. But I was taught to do well in school, go to college, be successful. I never thought until I did it that I would be the one to drop out of college and take up trades and become a contractor and get paid by the colleges and employ college students. So a lot of what people misinterpret about trades is just that, because you don't necessarily have to be the guy swinging the hammer. And that's something that could be taught in a trade school once you learn the trade and you set up the business. And you can employ people, come back to Petersburg, employ people from the trade school, come back and support your community and just do well for other families outside of your own. But my life has just been based off of learning and understanding trades. And that applies to nurses, that applies to framers, that applies to roofers, that applies to all of them. Hair cutters, whatever, barbers. So I think it's very important that we do give the students in Petersburg an opportunity to do something other than focus on going to Virginia State, Virginia Tech, UVA colleges and things of that nature. Like, there's other ways to be very successful. Like, a lot of the college grads are working to make $100,000 a year. Anyone that has been heavily into trades realizes that $100,000 a year is not that much money. So it's just one of those things that if there's anything I can do, whoever needs to or wants to can reach out, and I think differently, and I would love to be able to help. And that's it.
Ms. Alvarez, that's it. Yes, that's it. Mr. Mayor Perm, before we close out, any comments before we close out?
I just want to thank everyone for engaging in this discussion. We heard overwhelming support for this program and the excitement to all of us that were born and raised here in Petersburg and saw the lives change through the Pitman Building. And I'm just ecstatic to be part of the resurrection of that facility and be able to provide those much needed opportunities to our kids here in Petersburg. And this is something that from Governor Northam on, he's always talked about the trades and how that's the future of the Commonwealth. And I'm happy to say that this is the future of Petersburg, and we see it transforming in front of our eyes. Again, thank you, Dr. Petrie Martin. Thank you to the school board for your time, and we look forward to having more of these discussions, because we are all passionate about our school system here, and we know the kids of Petersburg are our future. And we deeply care for them and deeply support of them. And let's keep this dialogue going and keep this community support at all-time high. And again, thank you for having us on this evening.
Thank you, Mayor Perm. I also want to thank the city. I see Deputy Manager Donetta. She's smiling. Good to see you on tonight. Also, just want to say to Mayor Perm and to City Council members, Ms. Wilson Smith, she made a very important statement, and also Councilman Hill did also, about the authority of the school board and the authority of City Council. All that I'm asking as a chair, Dr. Petrie Martin was hired by the school board, and she is the individual who runs the school's day-to-day operation. The school board does not interfere with the operations of her running the school day-to-day. And so what I'm asking is that City Council members, please do not continue to call Dr. Petrie Martin, asking for one-on-one meetings and asking her about programs. We have agreed to meet with City Council quarterly. If there's information that needs to be brought to these meetings, Dr. Petrie Martin is more than willing to do that. But she doesn't have the time to continue to meet with everyone one-on-one. It's taking up a lot of her time. We as board members, we do not meet with her like that, because we know it is her job to run the school system. We evaluate her on that. And when she's unable to do that, then, we have a problem with that. But, I've never crossed the line, and I've been on school board for a while, but I've never crossed the line, have never picked up the phone and not called not one city manager to say, this is what you need to do, and this is what you should do. And I'll never do that because I know my place. So I'm just asking to please respect our superintendent, allow her to do her job, and I really do appreciate the conversation that has taken place tonight. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Perm. Is there
Second, Mr. Chair.
Second by Mr. Pierce. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Everyone have a great night.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stay safe.